The Italian America show is sponsored by Full Sponsorship, Cento Fine Foods. Trust your family with our family. The Bianchi Law Group, a team of former prosecutors who handle criminal matters, domestic violence, and municipal court throughout the state of New Jersey. Dr. K, the management professor and author of Rockstar Manager, From Theory to Practice. The authors of the #1 international best-selling cookbook, Don't Cut the Basil, 5 Generations of Authentic Italian Recipes. Dr. Mark D'Annunzio, National 4th Vice President, Order Sons and Daughters of Italy in America. The Grand Lodge of New York. The Grand Lodge of Delaware. The Grand Lodge of Ohio. The Grand Lodge of Virginia. The Grand Lodge of Rhode Island. The Grand Lodge of Maryland. The Grand Lodge of the Northwest, representing Oregon and Washington. Long Shot Productions, get back in the game. ACMT, Excellence in Aerospace Manufacturing. And by Silver Spring Capital. Silver Spring Capital Wealth Management is a proud and longtime supporter of the Order Sons and Daughters of Italy in America. Welcome to the Italian America show. I am Lisa Marie Falvo, and joining me is the OSDIA National President, Bob Bianchi. Bob, how are you?
I'm doing great, Lisa. How are you? Really excited about today.
I am so excited about today. It is the start of baseball season, and I couldn't think of a better Italian American to kick off the MLB season than the one, the only New York Mets legend, John Franco. John, how are you?
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me. Looking forward to it.
We're so happy to have you. We have to shout out Dr. Brian Compilataro because he was the one who brought us together. So thank you, Doc.
Absolutely. Thank you, Doc. That's right.
Yes, yes. So John, we will definitely touch on your legendary Mets career, but you are born and raised in New York, Italian. We want to know about that upbringing.
Okay. Basically, I was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York, from a middle-class family, maybe a little lower middle class. I grew up in Marlboro projects, housing projects. My mother and father were from South Brooklyn, the Red Hook section, Carroll Street and Red Hook projects. Born and raised there. My father was a sanitation worker for 19 years. My mother was just Italian mom, staying home, cooking, cleaning, making sure that everything was done, and yelling, screaming, hit me and my brother with the spoon and when we had it. But just a normal childhood. I grew up in a great neighborhood. Like I said, the Marlboro projects. All my friends, most of them or all of them were Italian. We had a couple of African-American friends who lived in the projects. We consider them Italians because everybody wants to be Italian. Tommy Lasorda once told me there's only 2 kinds of people in the world, Italians and the people who want to be Italians. So we made everybody Italians. It was just a great time growing up, playing sports, whatever season was, baseball, football, basketball, hockey, roller derby. I have an older brother who used to beat the heck out of me, and we all had older brothers who used to beat the little brothers up. So it was just a normal childhood in the late 60s, early 70s, and then into the 80s. But great neighborhood, going to the Most Precious Blood church feast. We look forward to that every summer, walking up and down, and Father Termine, we used to see us and hit you in the back of the head and make sure you stay out of trouble. But it's just a great area, great high school. If I try to tell it to my kids the way we grew up, and it's not like that anymore. There was no internet, there was no games. Everybody's outside playing sports, and everybody got to know each other. But I had a lot of fun doing it, and I wish I could do it all over again.
Your mindset. I actually have a podcast we do it's called nothingbutthetruthpodcast.com, where we talk a lot about mindset and how important mindset is, whether it's connected to your Italian heritage, when you went into some of those games, and I remember them, I mean, it is high pressure. You were always very excited. You were very animated. What was going through your mind, you know, during that? How did you control the tenseness of the situations you were walking into?
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with me growing up. I grew up in, like I said, in the projects, in very competitive area. The guys I grew up with, we were very competitive in sports. Nobody wanted to lose. Everybody wanted to win. In high school and college was the same way. And I just took that into my professional career. Uh, I'm not the biggest guy. I was 5'9", 5'10", and I always had that going against me. And I always used to use that to my advantage, you know, because everybody used to see a little guy, and I used to tell them, what's the difference between a 95-mile-an-hour fastball, someone 5'10", or 6 foot? It's the same speed, but the 6 foot has a little bit more deception, a little bit more bigger, looks bigger on the mound. So I try to use that to my advantage, and I had that never give in attitude. I guess my stubborn Italian Sicilian part of me is like that, because I'm very stubborn, and I don't like to lose. I don't like to give up things, and I always like to compete, like I said earlier, but I always want to win. I always want to get ahead of the next guy. I always try to outthink the next guy. As I said, in baseball as a pitcher, you always have to outthink the hitters, because they might be thinking you have to outthink them, outsmart them. And I use my brain, but also my gut and my heart to try to stay ahead of them, and just to try to make them look silly. That's what I try to do, make them look silly, because I'm not giving in. I never give in.
So 2 questions for you, John. Number 1, you mentioned that you're Sicilian. Where did your family immigrate from when they came over from Italy?
I wish I could tell you. I'm second generation. So I went to Sicily a couple of years ago with my wife and my kids, and we went into Taormina, and we went into Saragossa, Noto, all the places. I really never looked up to where my grandparents came from. I know my mother's side is from Naples, so that I do know that from. So, but we went to Sicily, and we drove around for 3 weeks in Sicily. Then we went over to Calabria, and then I earned my stripes driving in Italy for 3 weeks, that's for sure. But it was just a great trip. My wife, she had it mapped out from day 1 to day 2 to day 3. You know, I did the driving, my son did the navigating, and got lost a couple of times where we got almost attacked by some farm dogs that they wouldn't let us out with the car. But I got stuck in a little alleyway where a little Italian lady came out hollering at me and laughing at me because I couldn't get out of the alleyway. I was getting frustrated with my wife, and I was telling her, get her out of here, get her out of here. And then I guess my competitors came, I'm getting out of this spot, you know. And but it was great. And I never got a chance to go to Italy until I retired in 2005. And I finished in July 31st was my last day. And August 2nd, I was in Italy. So I got to see where my wife's family grew up. She grew up in a town called the Caggiano, which is a town south of Naples and next to Salerno. So we went into the town there, and it was just beautiful. I mean, what's not to fall in love? You know, I've been to Rome a couple of times, but I've been over a couple of times. I am a member of the Italian American Baseball Federation that we will go over, and we did some clinics over there, and we what we're trying to do is bring some Italian kids who play baseball over there into our country here, and try to set them up with some college scholarships, or even play for the Italian American baseball team in a classic. So it's great country. I fall in love with it every time. In fact, we have a trip planned this June that we're going to for 3 weeks. We haven't mapped it out yet, but I knew there's one place, Lake Como, that we want to go to. So I know that's one place we're going to go to, but I don't know the rest of the trip.
Lake Como is beautiful. And even the spots that you hit up in Sicily, my family on my father's side is actually from Saragossa. So I know how beautiful that is. And Taormina, I don't know if you've ever been to Paris, but I know Paris is known as being the most romantic city in the world. Taormina is. That place blew me away with how gorgeous it was.
Beautiful. It was breathtaking. And I'm glad my son and my youngest daughter came. My oldest daughter couldn't make it, but just to see the structure of the homes, the beauty of the town, and the way that the Italians, you know, everybody's drinking their coffee, going to the coffee shop. I never forget my first time I went to Italy, and I went into the coffee shop and I said, "Can I have a cappuccino?" And they looked at me like in the daytime, "Cappuccino? What's wrong with your cappuccino?" "Oh, espresso." I said, "I'll have espresso then."
What's the secret to my famous margarita pizza? Fresh basil, fresh mozzarella, and cento.
People ask my wife, what's the secret to your bolognese?
A little of this, a pinch of that, and cento.
Grandma passed on 2 family secrets. Saute, don't fry,
and always cook with cento.
It's no secret that the best tasting dishes use cento, San Marzano tomatoes imported from Italy, with nothing added, just authentic flavor for authentic Italian cooking. Cento, trust your family with our family.
The Sons of Italy Foundation is the philanthropic arm of the Order Sons and Daughters of Italy in America. It was founded in 1959 with the purpose of preserving Italian-American culture, encouraging educational excellence among Italian Americans, and assisting in other areas such as veterans' causes and disaster relief. To date, the Sons of Italy Foundation has given tens of millions of dollars to these efforts. For more information on the foundation or to donate, contact us today.
Well, I want to circle back to the mindset. So, Bob, and I know you'll appreciate this, I may mention how John and I came together. He sat down for an interview with a world-renowned eye surgeon, and they're very dear friends, John and Dr. Compolitaro, and they talked about precision, and they talked about the mindset that a surgeon needs and a pitcher needs, and the parallels between those two very different worlds. John, you went into the meticulous routine that you had. And I would just love to share that with our audience here, because it was just so fascinating to hear how you prepared day in and day out for 6 months straight, and the superstitions that you would do. Italians are very superstitious. So of course you had a lot of that. So please share that with us.
Well, on a normal day for a 7-10 game, obviously I would get up sometimes 10, 11 o'clock. My wife would have lunch made for me, and I would leave the house by 2 o'clock, 2:15. I would get to the ballpark, and I would do my running, early running. I'd come in, change, obviously. I try to wear the same underwear and the same stuff every day for practice, the same routine. Go out to practice, batting practice. You take batting practice, the pitches, the starters against the relievers, and then you go out to the outfield and shag. And then the strength and conditioning coach would come up to you, and we do some more running. So after the running, you go inside, you take a shower, and I had my superstition, my uniform with the same spikes, the same 2 socks, the same underwear. I wore a orange sanitation shirt in honor of my father who passed away, and I wore that same shirt for 20-something years underneath my uniform, and to honor my father. Same hat. Sit down and have a little pregame meal, maybe a sandwich or something. You go out, watch the first 3 innings of the game on the bench. I would go in, the trainer would stretch my arm out. In the 3rd inning, the top of the 4th inning, the bottom of the 4th inning, the strength and conditioning guy would stretch my legs out. And by the 6th inning, I was in the bullpen. You sit down, you say hello to the guys, and then I start preparing. I would look at the game. We have a chart, and we have the opposing team's lineup. And then if everything went well, if it was a close game, I would think, okay, if this is the guy I might face in the 9th inning. This is the guy I might not face. We have a book on there. Here it is, who I might be facing, the pinch hitters. And then if I got in the game, I would warm up. Before I went into the game, I had some ammonia capsule, or a sniff ammonia capsule to really wake up, and then just run out to the mound. Always 2 pieces of gum, never step on the line. And it just some crazy. I played with a guy in Cincinnati, Rob Murphy. His grandmother sent him silk underwear. He wore those underneath his uniform every day. So with this guys had some crazy things, but that was just my thing. The routine. Those guys who had so many routines, different routines. Turk Wendell used to have the animals that he killed from hunting, or the teeth around his neck. He used to chew licorice. But that was my thing. It got me through, every day in and day out. The hardest part was making sure my T-shirt that I wore for my father was always in my locker. Sometimes it was put in somebody else's locker, or was lost, and I made sure nobody left the locker room until I found that thing. I also had 2 pebbles in my locker from my mother and father's grave that I keep in the locker, so for good luck. And that came on the road with me everywhere I went.
Yeah, John, I just really amazing, because I see so much of a thread of your Italian culture both growing up and what you're doing now with the youth and trying to help them. And that's really impressive and appreciated. But going back to that mindset a little bit about the tenseness of the environment, I like to talk to people as a trial lawyer. I train a lot of lawyers about how to try cases. And one of the first things I do is explain to them, it's about mindset. Your mind can start carrying you into different directions. It's a very stressful environment. You're standing up in front of people, and public speaking is a number one fear. And if you just work through it, you're like that man in the arena, that Teddy Roosevelt quote. And you're going to be in that fight. You're going to get bloody. People are going to critique you, whatever. But at least you're in the game, as opposed to the people in the cheap seats that are critiquing what it is you're doing. So I'm curious, when everyone, I say there is no courage in the absence of fear. Fear is, and if you can overcome that, that's where courage is. I am sure you went into environments, I think, you let me know, where you had to really make sure you got yourself in check mentally and emotionally in a really tense situation. Did you experience those fears or nerves, and what did you do to get over them?
Every day, every game I went into, there was fear and nerves. You know, when you're warming up in the bullpen, and when you get out to that mound, now you're in the center, you're in the arena, you're that gladiator right there. Now everybody's looking at you, the fans, the opposing team, your team. And what I tried to do is just keep calm and take a couple of deep breaths. But I always would reiterate to myself, "You are the best. You are the best." Stay focused. Stay focused on what you're doing. Don't go outside. Don't go outside. I used to be like that horse with blinders. You know, don't look. Just stay focused on your area. And when a catcher would squat down, there's like a little, his knees and his shoulders. That was my area to look at. It's like a little box, and that's what I used to concentrate on. You know, try to, when you warm up in the bullpen, hit your spots, hit your areas. It got to the point to where I got in games. I would never hear the crowd. I would never hear the crowd because the crowd could be so loud. I was so focused on what I was doing that I block it out. I block out. Even now, in my, you know, when I retired, when things happen, my wife and my kids said, "Dad, you block things out so good." I guess from years and years of experience and playing, that I block things out and try not to let things bother me. Obviously, there are some bad games, and you have to have a short-term memory. And I always compare myself to like a field goal kicker. You know, as a closer, you could save 15 games in a row. The field goal kicker could make 15 field goals in a row, but it's that one that you miss that everybody remembers. So I try to be consistent. If I had that one bad game, I turned the page, and I had a pitching coach named Jim Cott used to come up to me, and he pointed up to the sky and he said, "See that? The sun came up today. Forget about yesterday." So you really try to stay focused on what's at hand. My goal was to get that hitter out, that one particular hitter out, and one hitter at a time. Not think ahead of the next guy and the next guy. My job was as a battle. My battle was I had to win that battle, outthink that guy, outfocus that guy, outsmart him, and just stay focused as much as I can. And like I said earlier, I never gave in. I'm not going to give in. I'll fight you tooth and nail. The biggest guy, I might get my butt kicked, but I'm going to fight you tooth and nail until I get what I want. I might get a couple of ones. I might get a couple of shots in here and there, but I'm going to stay focused, and I'm going to win that battle. Mentally, I'm going to be smarter and much more mentally stronger than that guy.
And the people that you went up against, though, I mean, talk about battles. Mark McGuire, Sammy Sosa, Barry Bonds, you actually had a hard time with you. I know that was probably one of your most prolific games, getting him out in the playoffs. Yeah. Was there any sort of an intimidation factor when you were going up against those sluggers?
No, well, always intimidated because they were, you know, great hitters, great home run hitters. I never had problems with home run hitters. And Barry Bonds and I had some great battles over the years. We had the same agent. And I remember we would be on golf outings or my agent's office, and he would tell me, "Whenever I hit a home run off you, I'm going to run around the bases backwards." And I used to try to mentally psych him out. And I used to say, Barry, I don't know how I get you out, but I get you out. You're the greatest player ever. And I could see him while he's there. You can see the grind that the sand coming off that bat, like he's gripping it so tight. But we had some good battles. He never hit a home run off for me, and I got him out a couple times in the playoffs. But just the big time hitters, you try to stay a little bit more focused on, because, you know, on one swing of the bat, they could beat you. I had more problems with the contact hitters. Tony Gwynn, the great hitter of Tony Gwynn, he was a thorn in my side. He was the guy that had a tough time getting out. But just to stay focused on the, you know, like I said before, the batter at hand.
What's the secret to my famous margarita pizza? Fresh basil, fresh mozzarella, and cento.
People ask my wife, what's the secret to your bolognese?
A little of this, a pinch of that, and cento.
Grandma passed on 2 family secrets. Saute, don't fry,
and always cook with cento.
It's no secret that the best tasting dishes use cento, San Marzano tomatoes imported from Italy, with nothing added, just authentic flavor for authentic Italian cooking. Cento, trust your family with our family.
The Commission for Social Justice, CSJ, is the anti-defamation and positive image arm of the Order Sons and Daughters of Italy in America. The CSJ conducts campaigns at both community and national levels that support cultural and social issues of importance to Italian Americans, including the preservation of Columbus Day and his legacy. For more information on the CSJ or to donate, contact us today.
When I was coming of age as a baseball fan, in your locker room, and I thought this was so cool that the Mets had such Italian Americans on their team. Bobby Valentine was your manager. Mike Piazza was your catcher. Was there some fun Italian things that you guys did to influence the rest of the locker room?
Yeah, we made sure we had good Italian food after the games. That's for sure. We made sure the clubhouse guy went out and got some good Italian food from good Italian restaurants after the game, and we would kid around. You know, I had a little Italian flag in my locker. Mike had one. Mike and I were on the Italian World Classic team together. I was the pitching coach, and Mike was the catcher. Now Mike is the manager of that team. Mm-hmm. And we used to tell him, you guys don't know nothing about wine. You guys know nothing about eating meatballs. You don't know how to make meatballs, and have some fun with it. And Bobby was right there with us.
Yeah, Bobby Valentine is a lot of fun. I mean, I'm sure he has another side to him as being a manager, but from meeting him at various WFAN events, like we talked about when we first met, he would show up at the events. I'll never forget this. It was a Mike and the Mad Dog event. And we were setting up the room, and he jumped in and helped us blow up balloons. Unbelievable.
Well, Lisa, it's unfortunate. We could talk to John forever, but you know what? You actually asked 1 or 2 questions, and I know why you did that. You didn't want to put John on the spot, as tough as a guy he is mentally and all the things he's done, by asking the ultimate question, but we don't have time for it, whether it's gravy or sauce. But maybe we'll have to have John back on.
I'll tell you sauce.
Oh, no.
Sauce, gravy.
Really fast, when I think of your Mets career, there's 2 things that stand out to me. Number one, obviously the Subway Series. And I'm sure I know it wasn't the result that you wanted, but that 2000 World Series, it was so electrifying. And being a born and bred New Yorker, it must have been so special to play in that. So you can answer that. And number 2, obviously, the emotional game when the Mets came back after 9/11. I mean, the Mets were the team that really started us back to normal. So maybe if you want to comment quickly on that first, the 9/11 game.
The 9/11 game was, obviously everybody's lives changed so much. Going to the ballpark was so different when you drive into the players' lot and you had the bomb sniffing dogs and the bomb squad checking your car, and you would go in and you see the snipers up on the roof, and police presence was unbelievable. I mean, that was probably the safest place in the world to be at the time. And just when the game went along and the crowd was so subdued, and just, I always say we put a Band-Aid, a little Band-Aid on a big wound. And for 3 hours that we played that game, we made the fans and the viewing audience forget what happened. Not that we'll ever forget what happened, but for those little time we did. And then when Mike hit the home run, you could just see like everybody just a sign of relief. I get my hair stands up on my arms when I talk about it. And you could when we turned around to the stands, we saw people hugging, crying, screaming, yelling USA, USA. And it was like that every place we went. When we went to Atlanta, Pittsburgh, the fans were behind us, the New York Mets, because we were from New York, representing New York. It was a great game. Liza Minnelli came out singing, start spreading the news. Mark Anthony singing the national anthem, the police and firemen, the bagpipes, from the start to finish. It was great. I'm glad we won the game for the city. the 2000 World Series. Unfortunately, we lost, but it was a great experience. Also, the whole city shut down. Met fan, Yankee fan. I thought it was great for the New York City, the whole New York metropolitan area. This bragging rights, obviously, Yankees won, but it was as a kid growing up in New York. My favorite team was the Mets. I lived out my dream playing for the Mets, going to a World Series, making a couple of All-Star games, and being able to give back. You know, when I played, I used to have baseball camps and stuff like that, and go to hospitals and visit kids. And I used to do a bowling event in Staten Island and Manhattan, raised almost $3 million for the March of Dimes in bowling. I used to have all my teammates come in for that. So I always try to tell the guys, try to give back. You know, people look at us like, you know, we're Supermen, and we're just the same. We put our pants on the same way you do. We have issues. We have family problems just like everybody else. The only difference is our salaries are posted where everybody else's salaries isn't. So, you know, we got to hear that. But otherwise, you know, I always try to tell the players, give back. Try to help out as much as you can, whether it's, you know, teaching somebody how to play baseball, going to a visit, going reading a book for some kids, whatever it may be. Just try to go out and help out as much as you can. And remember, it's sauce, not gravy.
I love that we're ending on that note, Bob. Sorry about that. 2 against 1.
All right, but to close it out.
John, where can our viewers, you know, follow you, you know, see what you're up to? Do you have any social
I'm on
media?
Instagram. I'm John Franco, NY Mets on Instagram. So that's basically, I'm believe it or not, I don't do too much social media. My wife and my daughter handle my social media. I like to stay off that stuff. I see, not that I would do anything, but I see how a lot of players get in trouble by posting things. And you know, that's one thing when I go into camp and I speak to the kids in the Met camp, and I hold my phone up and I tell them, see this thing? It took you a lifetime to get here. This thing, it'll take you 1 minute or 30 seconds to ruin you. So just be careful what you do, what you post. And remember, you represent the New York Mets and you represent your family. So don't embarrass yourselves or the Mets. And
wow.
That's my speech to the kids. And you know, some kids listen, some don't, but you know what? That's what I'm on Instagram. And you can see me, I don't post much, but every once in a while I do. And, you know, like I said, just try to get out there and help everyone you can.
John, this was so much fun. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Lisa.
Thank
Bob,
you, John.
Pleasure meeting you, Bob.
Nice to meet you.
Okay.
Have a good day.
Okay.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Ciao.
For more information on Order Sons and Daughters of Italy in America and how to join, please visit osdia.org. Please also follow us on social media. The Italian America Show is sponsored by Full Sponsorship, Cento Fine Foods. Trust your family with our family. The Bianchi Law Group, a team of former prosecutors who handle criminal matters, domestic violence, and municipal court throughout the state of New Jersey. Dr. K, the management professor and author of Rockstar Manager, From Theory to Practice. The authors of the #1 international best-selling cookbook, Don't Cut the Basil, 5 Generations of Authentic Italian Recipes. Dr. Mark D'Annunzio, National 4th Vice President, Order Sons and Daughters of Italy in America. The Grand Lodge of New York. The Grand Lodge of Delaware. The Grand Lodge of Ohio. The Grand Lodge of Virginia. The Grand Lodge of Rhode Island. The Grand Lodge of Maryland. The Grand Lodge of the Northwest, representing Oregon and Washington. Long Shot Productions, get back in the game. ACMT, excellence in aerospace manufacturing. And by Silver Spring Capital. Silver Spring Capital Wealth Management is a proud and longtime supporter of the Order Sons and Daughters of Italy in America.